Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, Jose Mourinho at Chelsea the first time, Jose Mourinho at Chelsea the second time. As Nelly Furtado once famously asked, why do all good things come to an end? Liverpool fans are perhaps wondering that more than just about anybody else at the start of this season. Jurgen Klopp is now the longest reigning manager in the Premier League, and it's weird to think of him being the oldest, wisest head, yet he became a granddad over the summer break. And just looking around at rivals, Arsenal and Newcastle both have dynamic young managers who may well have barely started their careers. Tottenham and Chelsea are both embarking on brand new eras and will have new philosophies to match. Things look exciting at Brighton and at Aston Villa, who both have Europe to look forward to this season too. But that doesn't mean that Klopp is on the descent. Far from it actually, even after a disappointing season last year, because for all the exciting bosses around the country these days, Klopp is the only one of them who's ever wrestled the title away from Pep Guardiola. He's won everything at Liverpool and, whisper it, but he could be about to do it all again. Because this is Liverpool Mark II, the second chapter of this all-conquering beast of a side that the German is recalibrating. This is why Liverpool are going to be alright in the end, and how the Reds will still compete this season. Jurgen Klopp's first transfer at Anfield was the mighty Marko Grujic. His second was Steven Corker on loan, which doesn't exactly give us much of a clue of how he was going to transform the Premier League. Klopp, that is, not Kolka. No offence, Steven. But those early years were proper exciting. Show of hands, who remembers the 4-1 over Man City away from home really early in Klopp's reign? OK, more of a classic here. Who remembers the 5-4 over Norwich when the Reds went bananas at full time and Klopp lost his glasses? There was a 6-0 over Aston Villa in his first season. That was a laugh. Then there was a 4-0 over Everton in the derby, which was fun. And then the following season started with a 4-3 over Arsenal, then a 4-1 over Leicester, a 5-1 over Hull, and a 6-1 over Watford in the first 3 months of the season. You see, when Pep Guardiola came in at Manchester City, he built from the back, signing Claudio Bravo, John Stones, Edison, Kyle Walker, Danilo, Benjamin Mendy, and Aymeric Laporte all within his first 2 years. Klopp's first big major signing, apart from Super Steven Corker of course, was Sadio Mane, and that set a very different tone, because when he built Liverpool, he built them from the front backwards. Alisson and Van Dijk were almost finishing touches to this team. Is history repeating itself? Well, maybe. I mean, I can't promise that every game is going to be as bonkers as that win against Tottenham last season in the dying seconds, as incredible as that would be, but Liverpool are about to be a lot more fun again, and they're going to be formidable in big games. That's what always separated Jurgen from Pep. Guardiola loves control. He built a winning machine at City with interchangeable parts that didn't even need to rely on individuals thinking outside the box, just players knowing their roles and where to stand at any given moment. You don't need me to tell you that Pep's a genius, and that's not to dumb down his philosophy of those early years at City. But the one downside was that it didn't always work in the heat of the big moments. It cost him in the Champions League for a long time. Klopp, on the other hand, revels in the sheer chaos of those European nights. His Liverpool team were always more about the players than the system, and he had more success in Europe while Pep was scooping up his first few Premier League trophies. Klopp loves a leader. Just look at the players he signed this summer. Alexis McAllister was as cold as ice for Argentina in the World Cup, keeping his country tick along in the midfield all the way to the trophy. And the way that he handled his last few months at Brighton, knowing that he wanted to go, showed a level of maturity that perhaps Brighton fans would like to see from a few others. And Dominic Szoboszlai is just 22, already the captain of his national side. Look at Cody Gakpo, signed in January, who stepped up in the World Cup when few others did for the Netherlands. Or even Darwin Núñez signed last year. Look, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but in the Champions League already, he scored against Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, a very good Ajax side, and, well, Liverpool. Back when Klopp began at Liverpool, he brought in players with this unpredictability and knack for making things happen on the big stage, and he relied on players with a big game mentality. There's a reason that the only team capable of knocking them out in Europe for so long just happened to be the only other team with more bottle. Liverpool have evolved in the last few years to have more control and be less counter-attacking, but now they're evolving to become less controlled than recent seasons, as Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones and Núñez all come in to become more direct. It's probably only going to end up one way, which is great for neutrals. Goals, 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 and if you're a betting person, you can probably count on Liverpool conceding more in transition than they've been used to recently. It's difficult to win over the course of a season playing such heavy metal football, but remember, This is the start of a new era for Klopp and for Liverpool, and the control is going to have to come back over time. For now, the unpredictability of this team is going to be hard to live with in the biggest fixtures, and that means that a Europa League final in Dublin is a serious target. Questions have been asked of them defensively, but in Alisson, Liverpool still probably have the best goalkeeper in the league ahead of Virgil van Dijk. That's not bad. Mohamed Salah and Diogo Jota are proven match winners who can change the game at the drop of a hat. Alexander-Arnold looked back to his best drifting into midfield towards the end of last season, convincing long-term Trent skeptic Gareth Southgate to give him minutes for England. And if you look at how young this Liverpool team is, what's to stop 2 or 3 of them having a breakout season like Arsenal did last year? Curtis Jones was arguably England's best player at the Under-21 Euros. This could be the season that he truly explodes. Most Liverpool fans have perhaps been more excited about Harvey Elliott up until this point anyway. Nunez, Gakpo, Konate, Szoboszlai and McAllister are still young too. And then there's Moises Caicedo. Yep.
Generic world-class defensive midfielder.
He's joining. And just like Van Dijk and Alisson before him, he could be a finishing touch to this side. He's cut from the same cloth as Klopp's best midfielders. He's physical, he's aggressive, and he's technically secure. And when Liverpool have possession, it will likely be
generic world-class defensive midfielder
and Alexander-Arnold ahead of a back three. It's the perfect blend of precision and aggression on and off the ball. Really, all Klopp needs now is one more defender and perhaps a little bit of luck. This is a squad that's been decimated by injuries and hasn't had time to settle into a rhythm. Who knows what might actually happen if the same few players have a run playing together. But with Liverpool a year further on in the rebuild and Klopp having reshaped his side from last year, we can see a little clearer where this team is heading. Liverpool started last season not knowing who the long-term replacement was for Bobby Firmino, how to get the best out of Trent, how to regenerate an ageing midfield, and who was going to step up in Sadio Mane's absence. Well, Klopp's answered all of those questions. This is a Liverpool team who shape up with a similar box midfield to City, but their ideals couldn't be more opposed. They're going to attack, they're going to be direct, they're going to try and smother teams, and this is a manager and a squad capable of putting the cat among the pigeons and taking the game to big teams. They could well decide the title, even if they don't have the lungs to be the ones lifting the trophy in May. Klopp's new Liverpool is a lot like Klopp's old Liverpool. This is a team that might not be fresh and new like some of their rivals, but if history is to repeat itself, it's still good news for fans. That chaos is what made Merseyside fall in love with Jurgen Klopp in the first place.